Welcome friends. In today's video, we are going to see one of the important concept in Java programming language, which is exception. What is exception? Exception is like abnormal termination of our program. Means we get any error, we need to handle that error in our applications. For the end user perspective, if he got any status code, so he will not be able to understand that. So we need to provide proper message to the end user. Then only he can able to understand what is happening in our applications. So let's go inside the code. First, here I have created one class which is books, and I have taken some member variable: book ID, title, author, journal, publisher, and price. The same I have created in database as well. Here you can see it is my book table in which I have book ID, title, author, genre, and I have added some sample record here. Next, here what we will going to do inside our book controller. I have created one method which will get a book by its book ID, and I am passing it as a path variable as ID. Here I have declared this class as a REST controller, so we can make a request to from our endpoint. And here I have mapped the request to the API. Then here I have injected with the help of Artivired book service. And book service, what it is doing, it is finding the book by ID. So let's go into this. Here it is book service interface, and we need to provide implementation for all method in interfaces. So here I have implemented that method find book by ID. From the book repository which is used to communicate with the database. So I am getting book find book by ID, and ID I have mentioned, and at the rate repository annotation over the book repository interface. So let's run our program and see the what is the problem in this. So we will understand exception in better ways. First, I will make request to the this endpoint get mapping by passing one ID from our client, which is any Postman, or we can go use web browser as well. So I am using here Postman. Let me share. So here is my endpoint: HTTP localhost 8080 API/1. One is the ID, which is I am referring from book ID table, and here book ID one is To Kill a Mocking Bird. Harper Lee author is there, and genre is fiction. Published year 1960. Price 7.99. Our application is up and running, and we will make the request now. Let's hit this endpoint, and we'll see. Here, based on ID, I got the book details. Means properly I have got. What if abnormal condition in, like if user send there is 10 record and 11th record is not there, and I am making a request to the 11th record. So it should not it should give me some message like book is not found in our database. So here a request is okay, but we didn't get any proper message. So let's implement this how we can show a proper message to the end user inside here book method. If we will check if book equal to null, means we got null, then we will throw new exception which will handle our exception. uh, Throw new resource source not found exception, and we will pass message like book not found with given id. We will pass id to this, and we will pass id to this, and we will pass id to this, and we will pass id to this. We will pass id to this, and we will pass id to this. We will pass id to this, and we will pass id to this. We will pass id to this, and we will pass id to this. We will pass id to this, and we will pass id to this. We will pass id to this, and we will pass id to this. We will pass id to this, and we will pass id to this. We will pass id to this, and we will pass id to this. We will pass id to this, and we will pass id to this. We will pass id to this, and we will pass id to this. We will pass id to this, and we will pass id to this. We will pass id to this, and we will pass id to this. We will pass id to this, and we will pass id to this. We will pass id to this, and we will pass id to this. We will pass id to this, and we will pass id to this. We will pass id to this, and we will pass id to this. We will pass id to this, and we will pass id to this. We will pass id to this, and we will pass id to this. We will pass id to this, and we will pass id to this. Here we to handle this, we need to create a resource not found class. So inside of my exception package, I will create one class which will have resource not found class. Resource not found exception. And this will take one, it will extend a runtime exception, and the runtime exception will extend to the exception class, which is main in our hierarchy. Means every class which extends every exception class will extend exception class, and exception is extend throwable. So now let's use our public resource not found exception, and we will pass this as a message string message, and we will call our super method in our runtime exception class, which is super dot pricing message. This will take one argument as a like here if we see runtime exception, and it will take as a parameter as a string message. So we need to pass this super to call that runtime exception class. And now we can import this. Next, we will create one app error which will show the error message. Means we can hold message into it and message detail. App error class. App error will have like private current date time. We will use private local date time, local date time to timestamp. We are using this. Then our private string message, then private string description, and we will create the getter setter for this, and constructor which is default as well as parameterize. First, let's generate getter setter. Then default constructor we will generate. So I am generating parameterized constructor, and then default constructor I will generate. Default constructor. And to handle all type of exception, we will create one global exception handler class, which will handle all type of exception. Just we are handling resource not found exception, but to handle all type of exception, there should be one class which will handle all type of exception or application. So we will call that as a global exception handler, and we'll annotate it as a controller advice. Controller advice will tell it is a exception handler class, and which will handle all the exception in our Java. So next we will create a method which will handle resource not found exception. So for that I am using public response entity. Response entity is our app error handle resource not found exception. It will take parameter as a resource not found exception RS as well. Web request. Web request I am taking for it will tell the exception handler, or like we can get a description of the exception from this web request. Web request. Then app will create object of app error equal to new app error, and we will pass to its constructor details local date and time equal to now. Then our next message rs dot get message, and we will get a description from our request dot get description. And here everything is good. Now we will return our app error to the our response entity class. So for that I am using return new response entity, and I will pass my app error object app error, and then http status http status dot not found, and we will run our application and see the if we get desired means our exception is handled in our class or not. Let me run this. So it is starting. There are two types of exception in Java, which is like check exception and uncheck exception. So we need to handle all checks exception in Java. A runtime exception is which is throw in the runtimes. So now our application is starting, and we will it is started, and we will hit the our endpoint. Now we will hit here 11. It should handle our exception. So we'll get a proper message. Here we got some internal server error. We'll see what is the issue in our application. Book not found with given ID. So it is printing message on console. It should print a message to the end user. So we got internal server error here. Due to here we have not defined this method as an exception handler. We need to tell which type of exception we are handling. For that we are using @exception handler annotation, which will tell which class we are handling exception. So resource not found exception dot class. So this is the important annotation. With the we can tell our exception handler which class we are going to handle our exception. Now let's run this and hit the endpoint again. We will see we will get a desired output or not. We need to handle that exception properly. End user should get proper message from our based on our handling scenarios. Now our application is started. We will make request again and we'll see. Now we see here book not found with given ID, which message we have given in our controller method. So we able to handle this properly. Means end user can understand based on this. There is no book record from our database, and he can make another request. That's all from this video, guys. If you like the content of the video, subscribe to the channel. Don't forget to like and share. Thank you.